Hi, Jolie.
Hi, Katie.
I'm so excited to be here with you today for our very first episode of the Silver Thread.
I'm excited too, and it's been such a long time coming. We've been planning this for what seems like ever, and now we're finally here.
We are, and it's great because we've got such a wonderful community here, and you and I have known each other now probably about 7 years since I first started joining the Silver Hair community.
Yes, since you started your blog.
Yeah, and for those of you who don't know, so we can backtrack a little, I am Katie from Katie Goes Platinum. I have a blog and YouTube channel all about naturally silver hair.
And I'm Joli from Quicksilver Hair, and I have a blog all about silver hair and a product called Quicksilver Hair.
I have to tell all of you, in case you don't already know, Jolie is an expert on the subject matter of hair in general, but also curly gray hair, which is why you're here today, because over the years, we've both received many questions from you about curly gray hair. Now, I do have kind of naturally wavy curly hair, but I don't let it be naturally curly because I don't know how to handle it. And so I have questions, and our readers sent in a ton of questions today, and that's why we're here.
Well, hopefully I can answer all of those questions. There was a lot, and a lot of them overlapped. I thought it was quite interesting. There seemed to be a theme with curly hair and silver hair, which a lot was to do with dry hair and frizz. So we will be answering that. And I'll get into some of the questions about purple shampoos and what to do for detoxing and clarifying product application and so forth.
That sounds perfect. And it's a great way to come together as a community and learn how to take care of our gray hair, because it's not just about looking good, it's also feeling good about yourself and feeling good about your gray hair, because so many of us are taught for so long not to accept our gray hair and not to accept curls, and to do both is wonderful.
I think that that's true. And I know for me, I always accepted my curls. That was just something that I happened to be a teenager right at that time when big curly 80s hair was a thing. So, I just naturally embraced my curls. But I can see how a lot of people straightened their hair, colored their hair. They go to this transition of going silver and embracing their curls at the same time, and it's like a whole new universe. It's a whole new head of hair, and they don't know what to do with it. So I get a lot of these questions myself, and I know you've gotten a lot of them and kind of didn't want to really answer them because you didn't feel like you knew a whole lot about curls. But I embraced my hair as it was my whole life. I did start the curly girl method when it first came out in about 2001, but I will preface with the advice that I give in this video that I am no longer a participant in the curly girl method, because I had to change the way I cared for my hair and what I put on my hair based on what it needed, because I think the rules are dictated by your hair, not by some, method. The curly girl method's great to help you understand your curls and understand how to care for them, but it doesn't necessarily translate to everyone as the perfect way to deal with your hair. So
I think that's interesting because, as you know, one of my kids has very curly hair, and
yes.
it's always been a struggle for him because nobody in my family knows how to take care of curly hair. It was so hard to make it look right the way he wanted it to, because it would either get crunchy if we tried putting products in it, or it gets a lot of buildup. I remember talking to you about it. You gave me some great advice that helped him like his curls better.
Yeah, that's a good point. A lot of what I'm going to talk about today doesn't necessarily just translate to silver hair. I mean, curly hair is a type of hair all on its own, and it doesn't matter what color it is. Some of the advice still translates across the range of colors and ages. Our hair changes throughout our lifetime, and women in particular, our hair changes pre-pubescent hair, through our womanhood, through pregnancies, through hormonal changes due to perimenopause and menopause and so forth. So we have a lot of changes that go on through the whole process, not just the color. So let's get to the questions. Let's check these out and see what I can answer.
I need my reading glasses, so let's find out. Okay, I'm going to start with the first question is from Bonnie, and it's about temporary color. She says, I have wavy, curly, long hair. I only have a few strands of silver hair so far. It's on the top and around her face. But I love the idea and planning behind Jolie's products. I'm looking forward to the interview video. Thank you, Bonnie. She uses Moroccan oil color mask on her hair every 8 weeks or so. Is it safe for her to use this product on her hair, even though she has very little silver so far?
Yes. So most temporary colors are color that actually just lay on the surface of the hair. They are not like your semi, demi, or permanent colors that go up underneath the cuticle of the hair. So a lot of temporary colors will not stain. However, I still say use a word of caution with any of that. You want to do test strips, especially on white hair. You want to make sure that it's not going to stain the hair permanently. I think that overtone is one you want to be really careful with. I think they have now clarified that it is not to be used on gray hair if you don't want staining. But there's several of these products like Moroccan Oil, Manic Panic, DP Hue, I think is the name of one. There's several out there that are temporary and they're usually safe. You would just want to make sure you do a test strand. And if you find that it has stained your hair a little bit, use a clarifying shampoo. I do know that, and this is not to pitch my own product, but the Quicksilver hair clay is capable of removing some of those temporary colors. So if you get stuck, you can hit me up and get a package of clay, and that should take care of it.
Yeah, I have to say that I know we're not here pitching Joli's product, but it is one of my favorite gray hair products. It's great for brightening your hair and taking out unwanted product buildup. And so I don't think I remembered that about the temporary color. So that's good to know.
Yeah, I've had a few people come to me and tell me that they accidentally, got it on their hair and couldn't get it off, like one of these temporary colors, and then used the clay and it came off. So,
well, that's good news.
Yeah.
Now, the number one question we got, which I don't think will surprise too many people, was dry, frizzy, curly gray hair. So I've got a few different people's questions. Should we just do one at a time?
Sure. I think I put two together there that will cover basically what most people were asking.
So Claire asked, she said she's a curly gray woman and she'd like to know which products work to tame unruly gray frizzy hair. When she colored her hair, it must have left a coating on it because it was not frizzy. My curls tend to be the big loose type, and on day 2 and on after washing, the frizz gets unmanageable and my hair gets so big. Karen says the same thing. She wants to know about techniques and products to encourage curl and reduce frizz. Hers has a lot of body and a lot of frizz, and it's a struggle to try to straighten it or to try to curl it.
So first, there's several questions there kind of in combination, but what I would first address is that we think that we did not have frizz when we were coloring our hair, but the fact of the matter is that the pigment in the color actually disguised the frizz. Because I felt like this too. I felt like my hair was way frizzier when I went into having silver hair. I think it's just more noticeable because there's no pigment, there's nothing for it to hide in. So it kind of stands out and you can see it a little bit more, especially with looser curl patterns, because it'll lift away from the wave. Whereas with a tighter curl pattern, it kind of blends in and you just get volume, right? So it's right. There's a distinguished point there that you kind of just have to get used to. I think it's a matter of kind of embracing what you have. Frizz has so many factors. There's dry frizz, which is, that your hair is dry and it needs moisture. It's unprotected. Maybe you don't have the right gel or mousse in it to help keep the curl pattern protected. There's frizz based on humidity, and the humidity changes in the air depending on where you live, and that can affect you even if it's dry air. So dry air can cause frizz just as much as humidity can cause frizz. And there's a lot of people that think, I live in a humid place and that's why it's frizzy. Well, I live in a dry place and my hair can get extraordinarily frizzy. That also leads me to that it can be certain ingredients that are reacting to the environment around you and reacting to your hair. Glycerin is one that everybody knows about, or most everybody knows about. I have hair that's temperamental to a glycerin, and it's not necessarily that you have to avoid this ingredient, but if you're struggling with something like frizz, it's something like you really want to look at your products and see, does it have a lot of glycerin in it? Because if it does have a lot of glycerin in it, it is going to be maybe a culprit, right? So when you're reading a product label, the first 10 ingredients are the most concentrated, and everything after that is usually less than even 10% of the formula. I avoid any product on my styling products, so my leave-in or my gel. I avoid any product that has a glycerin before the 10th mark. Usually about 5 or 6 is where I cut it off. So if the fifth or sixth ingredient, I won't use it if it's got glycerin in it because my hair will react to it. And what happens is an ingredient like glycerin will start to reach out like an antenna because it's looking for moisture. And when it does that, it pushes the hair out and causes frizz. So there's several ingredients that do that because those are humectants, and they're looking for moisture in the air. They either find it in your hair or they find it in the air. Now, that does, there's different formulas that are well formulated, and the glycerin can be the third ingredient, and it won't affect you at all because the rest of the ingredients help mitigate how the glycerin is behaving. So I don't want to get too, stuck on glycerin, but that is something you want to look at. It can be silicones, it can be sulfates. If you're using sulfate-based shampoo, it can be stripping your hair, which leaves it dry, which makes dry frizz. So there's a lot of variables when it comes to frizz. It's not an easy answer. It is something that requires you to experiment, try different products. Make sure, I think, that the top thing that mitigates frizz is gel, a hold product. If you're not holding in the moisture that you have put in, the conditioning that you've put in, the protection that you've put in when you do your shampoo, condition, and leave-in, then it's all going to escape. But the gel helps protect all that. It even protects the pattern. So whatever pattern your curl lands in, the gel is going to set and protect that pattern. So I think that is where before, when you're dyeing your hair or your hair had pigment, you may not have needed to have that much definition because it was hiding inside the pigment, if that makes sense.
No, that does make sense. That's really interesting. 'Cause I've heard that from a lot of people that they feel like the dye affects the frizz.
A dye affects the curl pattern, period. So for me, my hair actually liked dye, that the disruption to the porosity was just enough to give me a little bit more curl.
Yeah.
And for some people, it's the opposite issue. It's so disruptive that it ruins their curl pattern. And so when they quit dyeing their hair, all of a sudden they have beautiful curls that they didn't know they had. The other thing that comes to play here when you ditch the dye is that most women are ditching the dye, not most, but a lot of women are ditching the dye around menopause. And that you're changing the hair texture again because of hormones. So there's a pile of things going on that can cause that shift and change, or for it to get louder. Like you may have had frizz all your life, but it suddenly started getting to be more and more and more.
Isn't that interesting? Because my brother's godmother, she had thick, straight hair all the time I knew her as a kid. And then I think when she probably hit about menopause, her hair became curly. And I don't know, it's weird how these hormones affect your hair. I don't feel like I was well educated on what menopause would do to us.
I think a lot of people go through life and they don't really realize, if you've had a pregnancy and your hair changes drastically, because like I have a cousin that had curly hair and she had a pregnancy and her hair went straight during the pregnancy and she never got her curls back. So that's something that can happen. It's just, it's just part of the aging process. And I'm not really 100% sure how the hormones affect the hair the way they do, but they do. The other thing that can affect our hair and the frizz is the type of conditioners we're using. So when you're coloring your hair, you're often using a color protective conditioner, which has a lot more conditioning agents in it. And when you stop coloring your hair, you don't need color protective conditioners anymore. So you can have the wrong conditioner, and that conditioner can be causing buildup that can cause frizz. It can be reacting to minerals in your water and cause frizz. So there's, again, you go back, there's a lot of variables there. But the conditioner is the first place I start anybody when it has to do with dryness and frizz. You have to find the right conditioner. And I really think that going all silicone free and all that may not be the right answer for everyone. Sulfate free, 100% stand by that. I don't think we need sulfates in our shampoo. And plenty of the sulfate free shampoos are plenty good enough at cleansing the hair. So you want to find a shampoo that's not stripping your hair, because if you strip your hair every wash day, you're never getting it into that space where it's happy with the moisture that it can retain, which can then lead to a constant battle with frizz.
I had so much trouble with frizz the last 10 years I was dyeing. I think I had damaged my hair irreparably with dye by that point. And I was so afraid that I would have more frizz when I stopped dyeing, but that wasn't the case. So this is fascinating. I didn't know that about the conditioners.
I've
Let's
run
take one
into
more.
that a lot, is that people are still using conditioners that are the ones they used while they dyed their hair. And they probably were picking ones that were color protective, and it's a different type of formula.
Are there any specific conditioners you'd recommend in general, or?
Of course, Frizz is a battle for me too, but
Mm.
it is really dependent on your hair type. I'll probably say that a lot through this. Is, excuse me, there are a lot of conditioners out there on the market that are curly specific, and they may not be the best for wavy or looser curl patterns because they may have heavy waxes and butters in them that will just weigh your hair down and make it feel greasy, and you may not like that feel. I landed on, for me, and I say it over and over again, it's the Scene shampoo and the Scene deeper conditioner. Now, I have coached others that have silver hair and they like the regular Scene conditioner. So it's sort of just kind of a play with it and see which way it feels the best. What you want to watch for is that in between your wash days, so however many days you go, if you wash every other day or whatever it is, that your hair is not progressively getting drier and drier and drier and frizzier and frizzier and frizzier and frizzier. It's normal as you go from wash day to wash day for your curl pattern to loosen and not be as tight because, you know, it's not fresh. It's gonna start to lose that locked in curl retention. So that's normal. But what I'm looking at is if it starts to feel like straw, or it's getting really tangled, or it's feeling really, really frizzy, or you wake up in the morning and it doesn't even look like your hair anymore, you feel like a llama, you've got the wrong conditioners. You're using the wrong conditioner and the wrong leave-in for your hair type. Let me make note here that on my website, if you'll go to my website and just go to the search bar and type in hair type, there is an ultimate guide on hair type, and it will guide you through figuring out your hair type so that you can understand what you're working with, because it's very important to understand your hair type when you buy products.
Sorry, this is our first podcast and there might be some blips. I wanted to showcase Joli and I couldn't figure out how to get myself back on. Yeah, that's a wonderful resource. Joli has a lot of fantastic resources on her site to help us figure out the right products. I didn't know what my own hair type was until recently when I met with Joli. And she has a great article that explains how hair type and products work together. So thank you for that.
I think that's probably the number one place I send people on my site is go figure out your hair type first. I mean, 100%. And it's way more than the shape. Okay. The shape is just a visual cue of what you're working with. The shape of your curl is not necessarily the be all end all, you know, like if you have 2A or 2B or 3B or 4C or whatever, you know, in the 4 range, it can matter because their hair does require a little bit different type of product. But what you're really going to be caring for is the porosity of your hair, the thinness of your hair, the fineness of your hair, the coarseness of your hair, because those are the variables that product responds to.
Right. That is so interesting. And one thing I want to tell people is we are going to have obviously a video description for this video, and we'll put the links to Joli's articles and some products that we mentioned in the video down below. Okay. Is there anything else you'd like to say about the frizzy hair question? Or I've got one more question actually.
Was there another question?
Yeah, it was from Wendy. Do you have product recommendations for dry hair in a dry climate year round? Probably somewhere like we live, the desert. Conditioner, shampoo, leave-ins for low porosity hair. That's the thing that Wendy is struggling with.
Okay, so with dry climates and with dry hair, so even if you have dry hair and you're in a moderate climate, let's say, deep conditioning is very valuable. It's something that I think is something my hair loves and I have to do once in a while. There are people out there that tell you never have to deep condition if you're conditioning your hair properly. And I can say at certain times of the year, that's true. I don't have to deep condition as often. But I think that does have to do with the weather. It does have to do with our humidity and what's going on around us. So I like deep conditioners that you use in the shower. So one of my favorites is Miche Indulge. This one is one you apply just like your regular conditioner and then rinse it out after you've done all your shower things. A new one that I've just found is Routine from Routine Wellness. This one has a little bit of silicones in it. So if you like silicones and your hair likes silicones, this would be one I would recommend. And it is one you can use in shower.
That's great to know. I like to do everything in the shower because I'm a little bit messy. So I think it's better.
Yeah. And, you know, there are other deep conditioners that are fantastic, but they do work better under a cap with some heat and being left on your hair for 20 to 30 minutes. And that's fine too. If you like doing that and like treating yourself to a spa day, just incorporate that into your routine, because dry hair is looking for that conditioning. And in the hair care industry, dry hair is actually what we consider rough hair. That's usually the way it feels, and it just means that it doesn't have enough conditioning product in it.
Okay, that makes sense. It's almost like a plant when its leaves are shriveling up a little because you haven't watered it enough, right?
Yeah, somewhat. Yeah.
Okay, well, that's all wonderful because I know frizz is one of the biggest struggles. Like I have, and I know other people do.
It is. And I'm going to say, as we keep going, you'll see what we build into a routine that's going to help stop frizz.
You know, I don't have as much frizz as I used to. Like I can actually air dry my hair now, which I couldn't do before. It would get so frizzy, but I still do a little. You know, I live in the desert in California, and I know you live in the desert as well in the Southwest. I didn't think I would have any problems with frizz here, but I do sometimes. It depends on the day and the weather and how I'm taking care of my hair.
On my website, there's a post on frizz that is just distinctly about how to deal with frizz. And I did some images in that post that kind of define like halo frizz, dry frizz, functional frizz, you know, Monica and Barbados frizz, which is the big humidity hair, you know. So there are some photos there to kind of show you what I'm talking about with those different types of frizz and help you distinguish for yourself, like what kind of frizz am I dealing with? I think halo frizz, which is what I've always dealt with, which is the frizz that's just like from here up and around this area. Most of the time I deal with that once my hair is 100% dry. I will put a cream on it. I use Loma's calming cream. I just put a little dab in my hands with a little bit of water and I just smooth it over. And I might spray a little hairspray over that to help just hold it down. Just because sometimes mine can get a little, like my halo frizz can, you know, this part of my head feels like it's growing, you know. Yeah. But the other part of this is we have so many things in the beauty industry that we're supposed to go after and attack and kill and put away and put down, and don't do that. The thing is that curly hair is frizzy. That's just, it's nature. It's going to be frizzy. And if you like volume, then use the frizz to your advantage, you know, because if you have frizz, you can get volume. If you like definition, then you'll have to do like I do, find some like cream or hairspray or whatever that helps you smooth down that halo frizz and eliminate it.
We had a woman where I used to work who had the best curly hair. It was just spiral curls just popping out all over the place, you know, and it was big and it matched her personality and it was perfect. But I don't like to be noticed that much. I would think I would like it to be more defined and not walk into a room and have everybody see me. Do you know what I mean? So we're all different. You know?
Yeah, I think that it's your personal choice, and everybody's hair is like a fingerprint. I've said that for 10 years. We all have very distinctly different qualities to our hair. And even with our silver hair, we have distinctly different patterns. Like you have dark underneath right here around your crown. I have a white streak and a dark streak side by side. I have dark hair underneath at my nape, which that's very normal. Those differences are what make you unique. And it's what makes you beautiful and makes your hair beautiful. And it's not something you can get in a bottle. So I think it's kind of cool.
The next part is all about products. So this question comes from somebody on YouTube. Her handle is Sugar Plum Cottage. And she says, how can I keep my gray from discoloring? Also, what is the difference between moisturizing and conditioning? Why is purple shampoo so drying?
Obviously, if you know who I am, I talk a lot about preventing yellowing, because one of the premises behind my company was that the only thing out there when I started this journey to help with discoloration was purple shampoo. And I had gone, you know, maybe that's not exactly the answer, because all it does is cover up the problem. And what if you actually fix the problem? So that's where all of the Quicksilver hair universe, that question was what kind of built this world. So to prevent discoloration, the first steps you take are to use UV and heat protection if you use heat on your hair. UV protection is a must, in my opinion, because we are all exposed to the sun. Nobody can avoid it. Everybody's exposed to UV rays. It's just as important as SPF for your skin. The next thing would be to make sure that you use colorless products. So you want to make sure that your shampoos, conditioners, leave-ins, whatever, are clear, white, or slightly off-white. If they have a pigment other than purple, you want to watch out for that because that could possibly stain your hair. The next thing is to make sure that you're helping your hair not attract minerals to it by having a shower filter if you have hard water, or if you're lucky enough to have a whole house filter. If you live where there's soft water, you can actually get discoloration from soft water from product buildup. So you want to make sure that you're mitigating product buildup.
I didn't know that about soft water. How interesting. It makes sense because it doesn't rinse out the products as well, right?
So the softening agents in soft water are conditioning agents, and they actually do condition your hair. So when we start as curly girls, especially if we're using a lot of products, if you're using products that have butters and waxes and so forth, they'll start to build up, and that will dull your hair, and it'll create a discoloration because it's making your hair lose that reflective quality.
Oh, how interesting. Okay. See, I knew this was a good idea to talk to you about all this. I love it.
So the next question was the difference between moisturizing and conditioning. So this is a good question, and I really wanted to cover this one because there is a confusion in the industry about this, and it's really a marketing term for a product to be moisturizing. Moisture is water, and your hair can only hold so much water, and it on its own does a very good job of absorbing water and releasing water. If you think about it, the word conditioner comes from the engineering section of industry. And if you think about it, oil in your car is a conditioning agent. It's designed to protect. It's designed also to protect from water, because water, if you think about it from the engine aspect, water will damage an engine. So oil is put in the engine to protect it. So conditioners are designed to allow the moisture that your hair has grabbed, it protects that moisture balance and keeps it in there. It adds slip, shine, manageability, combability, etc. And it makes your hair feel good. So if your hair feels like, going back to what we talked about earlier, it feels horrible and it feels dry, start with conditioner.
Oh, that is fascinating. Thanks, Jolie. And the last question she had is, why is purple shampoo itself so drying?
Okay, so purple shampoo is drying because most of the shampoos on the market do have sulfates in them, or they have really stripping surfactants in them because it's supposed to be brightening your hair, right? Plus the pigment itself can be rather drying. So it's just the combination of those two things. And there are people that are using them too much. So the more you use them, the more they're going to dry your hair out. For curly girls, I 100% recommend that you use purple conditioners instead of shampoo. Just skip the shampoo altogether. Because one of the things that I noticed when I was trying to figure out if I needed to be using a purple product or not, is that it made no sense to put purple shampoo on my hair, right? Rinse that out, put conditioner in, rinse that out, and how much of that purple pigment is going to be left? It seemed like a waste.
Right.
So, and then there's the drying aspect of it. So I thought, what if I just use the conditioner by itself? And so that's how I deal with if I use a purple product. And I don't use them very often, but if I do use one, I just stick to purple conditioner.
That's a great point. And also, I'm kind of turning against purple shampoos. I used to use them more often because, as you know, I get a lot of yellowing. But because purple shampoo is so drying, I've been using that silvering tonal control that I told you about, and I'll link to it below. But what's nice about that is it's purple, but it's silver safe.
Right.
It's, cruelty free and all that stuff. But the best part is you just add drops of it to your already white or clear shampoo or conditioner. And I think it does just as good, if not better, than a purple shampoo, but it doesn't dry my hair because I'm already using the same
And
shampoo.
that's a really good point. And I think that was one of the reasons why she designed that product that way, was so that you could use your favorite products, because we're all going to do that. We're all going to end up with different products. Go back to the fingerprint analogy, right?
Right.
Your hair is like a fingerprint. What my hair needs and what your hair needs is probably going to be two totally different things. We live in different places. We have different hair type. We have different water. We have different environment around us, pollution, so forth. So you're going to want to customize certain things like that for yourself, because I don't think that just using a general old, purple shampoo is the answer. And it is annoying to me to, that's always like all these articles we see that we didn't write. The answer to yellowing is always purple shampoo. And I think that's short-sighted, because it does not remove yellowing. It just covers it up. And one issue that a lot of my customers face is they'll use my product and they'll come back to me and say my hair was more yellow after I used it. And I will ask them if they use purple shampoo, and they say yes. And I say, well, you just revealed what was going on underneath the purple shampoo, because all you've been doing it all this time was covering it up.
Right. I think purple shampoo is not a bad way to just tone hair that is maybe permanently yellowed.
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. It has its place. It absolutely has its place.
But to actually remove yellow, I think your product, the Quicksilver Hair Clay, is better. And also just preventing it in the first place is the best.
So going back to her first question of, what products to use, I think what did she say? How to keep it from being discolored. So if you set up this routine where you have a great shampoo that maybe has some chelating ingredients in it, that's one of the reasons I love Scene shampoo, because it has chelating ingredients in it to help mitigate the mineral deposits on your hair. You find your perfect conditioner. Conditioner's protective, remember that. So if your hair isn't properly conditioned and it is drying out, it's going to grab onto things. It's going to pick up more discolorations. So taking care of those things and, putting one good foot in front of the other is, that's the right way to start having no discolorations. Now, there's going to be people who are going to have discolorations no matter what they do. It's just their hair type, and it's, it just happens. So then that's when you do want a good quality product that isn't going to dry your hair out and has a good solid pigment in it that isn't turning your hair purple at the same time. So that's that delicate balance.
I'm laughing because I'm like, maybe I'm one of those people who's just faded.
And you might be. And it's so let's talk about that for just a second, because just like the frizz, it's a problem that we put in front of ourselves and we drive ourselves crazy and we chase and chase and chase and chase after it. And I'm one of those people that I firmly believe that if you keep trying to do the same thing over and over and over again, and you expect different results, it's the definition of insanity, right? So why drive yourself crazy?
Yeah. I'm trying to be more accepting of it. It's like, okay, so my hair is silver up here. It's a little more yellow down here. Who cares? Yeah. I've had some people tell me they actually like it. I don't get a lot of comments on my gray hair when I'm in public. I get great compliments and also some insults online. But in real life, I don't really hear much about it, that much. And my sister says she thinks because people can't tell what color my hair is. It's not obviously gray. People have an idea in their head of what gray hair looks like. And I think even just being long confuses them. I've got my natural color mixed in with a lot of silver. I've got some white. I've got some yellowing. Well, I mean, it's everything at once.
That does speak to that we are confusing the norms.
Right.
We are spending a great deal of time, for me over the last 10 years, for you over the last 7 years, disrupting the norms.
Right.
We are saying to the norms, no, thank you.
I was going to say F you, but I guess that's...
And those norms include that when you go to the salon and you dye your hair, it's all one color.
Right.
And silver hair very rarely is all one color.
Oh, I know. People say, I've been accused at least once now of dyeing underneath. I'm like, why would I just dye like little bits? It doesn't make sense. But I guess they didn't understand that you can have hair that goes out like this, like darker, lighter. Yeah. Yours is very dark underneath.
That can also affect your curl pattern.
Right.
So you can have a different curl pattern depending on the color that's in the hair strand. So like my curl pattern in my dark hair is different than my curl pattern in my light hair.
Oh, that's fascinating.
So it creates different curl patterns. So it's just this really unique, you're having a whole new unique experience, and it takes it takes a mindset shift.
Yeah.
So
I love that. Let's see, we got to move on to some other questions here. Okay, which products and tools are safe to use on a day when you want to blow out your hair and wear it straight? That's Bev. That's her question.
okay, so I get that. I do that sometimes too. I want to straighten my hair and not deal with it being 100% curly all the time. And sometimes I don't want to deal with the wash days that go with it. But my best advice is to make sure that you're using a heat protectant that is heat rated up to a certain temperature. Usually the max point of those temperatures is 450 degrees because you do not want to use a heat tool over 450 degrees ever, because you will set your hair on fire. That's not the goal, I'm sure. You want to be really gentle with your hair, so you may consider not actually doing blowouts, but doing something that's a little bit more gentle. I know that Katie does the heatless curls, and she has pretty good luck with a couple of those products. I don't really know a lot about those products, but if you want to feel that, you can.
Sure. So let's see. I have them sitting right here. Okay. This is the one I'm using the most right now. It looks a little strange. So it's this curling ribbon, and it comes with, this is not the one it came with because I lost it, but it comes with a clip
Clockwork,
and
yeah.
2 scrunchies.
Mm-hmm.
And I actually, that's how I did my hair today. I don't know if you can see.
And it
But
looks really nice today. Yeah.
thank you. I feel kind of like Farrah Fawcett. This was the hair I couldn't have back in the 80s. I would wake up every morning and curl my hair with a curling iron trying to get this. And I didn't know how to do it. I'd just go to school with big tubes hanging down, you know.
Yeah.
But you just put it up here. So you look like a nut when you wear this. You put it up
Yeah.
here, you clip it like this. I can't do it because I don't want to ruin my hair right now. But you just kind
Don't
of
ruin your hair, but
you wrap
just,
your damp hair around it and you just let it dry. And then I just pull it out and boom, it's great. I take one of these wide mouth combs, these wide tooth combs like this.
mm-hmm.
I just put it through my hair afterwards, and then I put a little of the silvering shine and define oil on it just to kind of take care of any flyaways.
Give some shine. And
yeah, but this is one of my favorites, and it's so easy to use because you're just wrapping your hair. You're not doing anything too crazy. Let me show you the other one. Oops, gonna break stuff here. Okay. Then I've got 2 different sizes of the Octo Curl. This is the famous heatless curler that has these strands hanging down.
yeah.
This one is for standard, like, medium length hair. And this one is for longer hair like mine is right now. And you just put this headband on your hair and you wrap your damp hair around. I use 2 strands at a time. And you just let it dry. Both of these things I usually prefer to sleep on because it takes so long for my hair to dry.
Is it comfortable to sleep in?
It's not uncomfortable, especially the curling ribbon does not bother me at all. The Octo Curl, I have slept in it, is fine, but sometimes I end up with a little band imprint here, but you can do it. And also some people push the band up so they don't have that problem.
I want to make one note here. If you do use one of these products and you have silver hair and you're using it with your hair wet, make sure you get the white version of the product, because if you get one that's like black or purple or green, if the dye transfers from the fabric to your hair, that can discolor your hair. So you want to be careful of that. Some of them are probably dye stable. They're not going to lose their dye. So you can, dip it in a bowl of warm water when you get it and wash it and see if any of the dye is bleeding out. And if it is, then go back and get a white one, or, to avoid dye transfer to your hair. You have to remember that fiber dye, clothing dye, cloth dye is the same kind of dye that we would put on our hair. They're the same types of dye because your hair is fiber.
Never thought of it that way.
Yeah.
I'm wearing clothing on my head. Yeah. I haven't had any problem with any dye transfer on these, but that's good to know. I think they come in white. I'm not sure. So.
Well, that's good. I mean, and you've been using them for a while, so that's good to know.
We still have quite a few questions.
I know, we've got a lot.
The next one is from, I'm not sure how to pronounce this name, so sorry. I think it's Adri. I'm sorry if I pronounced that wrong. She says, my hair is a mix of wavy and curly. It looks different every day. I'm blessed with a lot of hair, but it can become quite voluminous. What could I apply regularly to decrease the volume and frizz? Natural oil? Is that good for growing in beautiful silver?
So that is a good question. And I think that one of the things you want to do is make sure that you're using a product that is heavier. So you want to use curl creams that do have butters in them. You want to be careful, of course, that the product is white or clear again. And the idea is that the more volume you have that you don't want, you want a little bit of product to weigh it down. Your gel product can also help with that because it's going to hold the frizz at bay and keep it from making your hair grow. The oils question is that there are plenty of clear oils out there that are options. Squalane oil, which is my personal favorite, is 100% clear. Babasu oil is actually a really good oil, and it's a little heavier. It's a little bit like coconut oil. Coconut oil is a good oil to use if you don't have dry hair. If you have dry hair and you're using coconut oil to help with your dry hair, it could potentially dry your hair out worse. So be careful with that. I actually prefer Babasu oil over coconut oil because it doesn't have that same effect.
That's good to know. I know you have an article about that too, I think, about coconut oil, right?
Right. I wrote a big post about it because I was seeing a trend in the silver hair community of people using coconut oil as a deep conditioner, and it's not conditioning like that. I mean, if it's blended into a deep conditioner in a good formula, that's one thing. But using it by itself and expecting it to condition your hair is sort of like pouring tar on a roof and hoping that that's the only thing you need to put on the roof to protect your roof from leaking. So it's a, you know, that's one I'm iffy about with certain hair types. There are certain hair types that coconut oil is amazing for, so it just depends.
Yeah, that's good to know. Okay, I'm just gonna pull my window down because all of a sudden the sun is blazing in here and I'm boiling to death. So.
We've had clouds here all day and they're starting to clear, so it's getting a little brighter in here.
Okay, let's see, Meg. I have wavy hair and I'm transitioning to gray. A couple of my questions. I'll start with the first question. Which purple shampoos or conditioners are curly girl friendly? In other words, no bad sulfates and they won't dry out my hair.
Okay, so on that one, I've just talked about purple conditioners. I think you should skip the shampoo with curly hair and go for conditioners. My two favorites are the purple conditioner from By the Way, and this one's not super toning. You can see it's lavender, so this one's something you could use every other wash day or every wash day, I guess. I don't know. I like the conditioner itself just for its conditioner. I don't necessarily need the purple, but the conditioner is amazing. So that's one, and it's 100% curly girl friendly. There's no silicone sulfates or anything like that. There are not sulfates in conditioners usually, so that's something you would be skipping if you're just using a conditioner. Then I have the Loma Violet conditioner. This one's really nice and it's very nourishing and conditioning. I do think that if you are trying to avoid silicones, this one's going to be one you want to avoid because it does have a silicone. However, it's a shampoo soluble. So if you're using shampoo, you're going to wash it out over, your next shampoo. So it's not really too terrible. I know a lot of curly girls that love this because it's so nourishing. My curls look amazing after I use this. So I would stick to those.
Let's see. Her second question is, are there any products that have SPF/sun protection in them that are curly girl and silver friendly? I think we both know the answer to this question, but I want to hear what you have to say.
Okay, so I want to make a distinction here because this is a point of confusion all the time. SPF is for your skin and your scalp. The product that I most highly recommend, Katie has a bottle of, which is the Kula hair mist. And that is something you spray it on your part and your scalp. It has UV and SPF protectant in it. So that's one that is, and I think that one's pretty well curly safe. I don't think that one is of any issue. I know I have a pretty good friend that has real curly hair and she uses it all the time and really likes it. The other products that I most often recommend for UV protection are the Scene creams. I have the blowout cream, but they have the curl cream and they have a new leave-in. All three products have UV protection in them. So UV protection is for hair because it's a different type of ingredient that's being put on the hair and a different reaction. What it's doing is blocking UV rays and reflecting them so that your hair is not absorbing them. So it's slightly different than SPF in its formulation and the ingredients that are used. The other product that I love for UV protection for curly hair, this one does not provide heat protection, but if you're diffusing your hair, it doesn't matter. But this is the Bounce Curl Moisture Balance leave-in. This is my favorite leave-in. It's just the right product for my waves and curls and provides UV protection. One thing to note about UV protection is it is like SPF. It has a time limit. it will wear out. So if you put it on day one, say, and you go out on the sun on the second day, you need to reapply your UV protection before you go out in the sun. So you need to treat it just like SPF.
This is something I've been bad about. However, I have to say I never got in the sun without a hat because skin cancer runs in my family.
That's actually the best defense, is to completely cover your scalp and your hair with a hat or a buff.
Yeah, whenever I go, I wear my Wallaroo hat that has built-in UV protection. I use the seam blowout cream every time I wash my hair, but I'm bad about putting it in my hair on a non-wash day. So I have to do a lot of work when I leave the house because I don't want my hair to get wet. The sun's always shining here. It's not like where I go from
this aging thing, you got to do a lot of work too.
I always think I'm the nutty woman of the neighborhood, you know, the one with a big hat and, you know.
You are not. When I if I see somebody walking with a hat on, I'm like, yes, good for you.
So if, let's say it's the second day after I wash my hair, right? Because I only wash my hair once or twice a week. So I don't bother putting the seam blowout cream in, but I have my hat on, my hair is tucked in under my hat. But because I still have a little hair poking out, I always put this on. Is that enough?
For what's coming out from underneath your hat, I would say put the seam cream on. Put the cream in your hands and get it really good and emulsified and just kind of smooth it through. I think that would be a little bit more coverage than the spray, simply because if you think about the full amount of hair you have, right? And the full surface area of your hair, it would be impossible to cover it all. And a spray is only going to go to that outer layer.
Right.
But if you take a cream and you smooth it through, you're going to get it, you know, kind of evenly dispersed, a little bit better. Something is better than nothing, is as far as I will, you know.
I think that's good. I don't want to go crazy. If I went crazy, I would never leave the house.
Yeah.
So let's see. We're moving on to Casey8127 is her name.
Yep.
She feels like her silver hair is more easily damaged than her dyed hair. So she wants to know what product would work well with her silver texture. She has fine hair, a lot of fine hair. It's not thin, but the texture is very fine, salt and pepper with large streaks of silver, and the silver is silky, not coarse. So she gets flat from over conditioning on top, but dry as it goes down the length.
So that sounds to me like there is a little bit of an issue about how you're shampooing your hair and how you're conditioning hair. Shampoo should be applied to the scalp area. Shampoo your scalp, get your scalp really clean, get the roots really clean, and let the rest of the shampoo just kind of run down the lengths of your hair. That should be how you shampoo your hair most of the time. You know, occasionally you are going to want to shampoo the ends to get buildup off. And then when you condition your hair, condition from the tips upward, so you don't get conditioner directly on your scalp. And then as you get towards your scalp, you can always take a little conditioner and mix it with water and spread it evenly, and then do what is called a little bit of drizzle rinse, where you just kind of gently lean back in the water and let the water just kind of rinse the conditioner and get a little bit more watery so that it's not so close to the scalp and weighing the roots down. When your hair is 100% dry, you want to seal the ends, because the ends of your hair have oxidative stress when you have longer hair, and they're more prone to being dry, they're more prone to getting yellowing, they're more prone to sun damage, all of that, because it's weaker hair basically. So I would take a squalene oil or a serum and seal the ends of your hair with that serum to help the ends not be so dry. And finally on that one is make sure you're getting regular haircuts. If you have long hair, the temptation is to not get haircuts. But if the ends of your hair tend to be dry, you need to be trimming that off, because it's like a frayed rope. It will start to travel up the strand.
Okay, now you're scaring me because I'm so overdue for a haircut. I definitely have that issue. My ends are drier, so.
Yeah, it's something you, like when I notice that my ends are dry, I cut them off.
Yeah.
Because I do not want my whole strand of hair to start to get dry. And the drier they are, the yellower they will get.
I'm actually thinking going in this week and getting about this much cut off, because this is so dry down here. Well, that will help stop it spreading up, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh,
so
okay.
it's, you know, you can space out your haircuts however you want. Just don't avoid them altogether. I think there's a lot of people that try to avoid having a haircut altogether, and it's not the best plan. Trust me, I know. I used to do it.
Yeah. I try to go every 3 months now that my hair is so long, but sometimes like I get busy, and I think it's probably been about 4 months now, and that seems to be my tipping point. You know what I mean?
So I cut my hair myself, right? And then last year, because I had shoulder surgery, cutting my own hair wasn't exactly the easiest thing in the world to do. And I don't know exactly how long I went. I think it was maybe like 6 or 8 months before I cut my hair again. But before surgery, I cut 6 inches of hair off.
Oh,
And
wow.
when I cut my hair again, I cut like 8 inches of hair off.
Oh, wow.
In that like 6 to 8 months, it had grown tremendously. And anyway, I was surprised how much it had grown and how much I had to cut off to get it to the length that I like it at.
And do you have fast growing hair like I do? Mine grows much faster than average.
No, mine's pretty normal. And I go through phases where it grows a little bit faster, and that's pretty normal.
Okay, the next one is from Robot Cajun. She says she has wavy hair and she's just about finished with her gray hair grow out. What about products for wavy hair that do not weigh down the waves, as well as those that eliminate frizz? She heard that curly girl products might not translate to wavy hair. Wavy frizz plus gray hair flyaway frizz is a pain.
My best advice for that is to use a leave-in that is not labeled curl cream. These can be so much heavier. Curl creams can be designed for a curlier, coilier hair type. So I would just stick to a basic leave-in, and I would try a product that is lightweight or no oils in it. You want to apply your products to soaking wet hair and follow with gel to help eliminate the frizz and to keep the volume from being too out of control, depending on how much you want volume or not. And I think avoiding scrunching your hair is a really good idea. I think that a lot of people apply their products and they're going like this and scrunching it in, and all you're doing when you're scrunching is breaking up the curl family and creating frizz.
Oh, interesting, because I've seen so many videos where I see the girls doing that.
I think if you're frizz prone, scrunching is just going to make more frizz.
Okay, fascinating. Okay, I'm loving this. Okay. The next one, this is one of my biggest problems, and I'm so glad we're talking about this: gels and crunch. I have sensory issues, as you know, and the crunchy feeling of gel makes me almost like literally want to throw up. So we've got 2 ladies here who wrote to us about that. So Michelle says she's more wavy than curly. Her hair does not form good curl clumps. She can't stand when her hair feels crunchy or when there's too much product in it. She does heatless curling, so she wants to know good products or good way to show off her wavy hair without the crunch.
So gel is your friend.
Wow. Okay, tell us about gel.
I know you don't want to hear that, but it's your friend. Okay, so what I think most often is happening when your hair is too crunchy with gel, you've either used too much, you have the wrong formula for your hair type, back to hair type, and you're not applying it properly. So gel, in my opinion, the best way to apply it is on soaking wet hair. So it should be applied in shower after your leave-in conditioner. And a lot of people are shampooing, conditioning, wrapping their hair in a towel, getting out, putting in leave-in, which can also add a feel to the hair because you're putting that product on damp or almost dry hair rather than putting it on wet hair. I think the reason why putting it on soaking hair is a little better is the water becomes your friend. It helps you disperse the product through your hair evenly. And when you add the water to the gel, when you're adding the gel in while your hair is wet and that water is being incorporated, it's helping the gel to not be so stiff.
Right.
I rarely get crunch from a gel. I use Loma's Firm Hold Gel. That's my favorite go-to gel. And let me tell you, I went through a long period of hating gel because I could not find one that worked. But gel provides, it sets the curl. So remember when your grandmother used to go to the salon and get her hair rolled and sit under the dryer and get it set?
Yeah.
That's what's happening. When they curl the hair with a roller and then it's wet and they put curling solution in it and then they spray it with hairspray and then they stick you under the dryer and let it set. All of that is setting the curl bond into its shape. And gel helps you set the curl shape. Gel also protects your hair. It protects everything that you've put in at this point and keeps it in there and keeps humidity out. So it's a humidity protectant. When you have crunch afterwards, there's a simple solution to that. And that is to scrunch out the crunch. So this is the point where you see a lot of people scrunch. I don't scrunch it like this, but I've left my hair in a cast. I don't know if anybody's noticed at this point, but it's kind of flat and it looks a little stringy. but I did that intentionally because I wanted to show you something really interesting. And I want you to see how this works. So I don't really get a crunch, but I do have a cast. Like I can tell that everything is a little bit stuck together and I can kind of feel the gel. So I take either my squalane oil or Loma's nourishing oil or Scene's magic serum. Depends on the day, depends on how I'm feeling. I generally use this in high humidity because it has silicones. And I use this Scene when it's not too dry and it's not too, like, really good weather. I'll use that. And I use my squalane oil on days like today when it's feeling kind of dry and it looks a little stringy. So I just take 2 pumps and I emulsify it in my hands completely so my hands are nice and shiny. And I go through and I do a technique called prayer hands. So I'm pressing my hands like this in prayer and I just pull the hair. And then I'll go through and rope it where I'm got it in like a rope, like I'm holding a rope.
You're blowing my mind right now. That's fascinating.
So I'm going to get 2 more pumps for this side. Not hit the wall. There's a wall right here. So that's effectively breaking the cast because I'm pulling it down, right? And then I'm roping it to evenly distribute that oil and help it be a layer of sealing. So a lot of people think of oil as a conditioning agent, that's something that's going to condition their hair. And it's actually a seal. So let me break up this clump because it's been bugging me the whole time we've been talking because it was this little tiny. So I'll go through like that, and that's how you break up the cast. And I think in the 80s and 90s, we were doing, the big hair with stiff mousse and hairspray, and we never broke that cast, and we liked the wet look, Yeah. And we have stuck to that habit in our minds for a lot of us, and you never broke it. You never broke that cast, and that's the way you do it, and that's the way you keep it from being crunchy. Of course, it is finding the right gel for you that works the best for you. There are tons of them out there, and there are softer hold gels and harder hold gels. One company that has like the whole gamut of types of gel is Curlsmith. I'm not a huge fan of Curlsmith. Their products don't work really well for me, but if you want to try like every single one of their gels, just see how it affects your hair and see which one is the softest, lasts the longest, whatever. But go get a sample of every single one of their gels and give it a shot. You can do that with any product line, just get their samples and see how they affect your hair.
I'm so glad so many more places are doing samples now or travel sizes so that you can test it, see if you like it. You told me about the Wedad. I think is that how you pronounce it? Wedad?
Wedad humidity control.
Yeah, I got that when I went to Florida and it really helped and it wasn't super crunchy.
It's a really good one for high humidity areas, and they have 2 versions of it. One's a little bit softer hold than the other one's a little bit harder hold. So you can pick whichever strength you want. Another good gel for if you really, really hate the crunch, but you want to try to have a gel help you out is Lust Brand's gel. Their gel is pretty good. For me, it's too softening. It's too moisturizing and softening. So my curls end up being straight before the day's out because it's just too soft. My curl can't retain its curl. Okay,
now we're going to move on to shine. I know this is a question a lot of people have, especially when they have gray hair. Gina says, my white curly hair is a struggle. It's frizzy and it does not look shiny. I keep trying to grow it out, but it's just a mess right now. She doesn't like the way that short white curly hair looks. She feels like it can look like an old lady perm is what she says. And she feels like she's struggling a lot with her hair. So what would be a way for her to add shine to her white curly hair?
So shine has to do with hair type. And if you have lower porosity hair, you have fine hair and silky type hair, like I have a silky type hair, you're going to have more shine naturally because the cuticle is closed down and is more reflective. On higher porosity hair, coarser hair, you're going to have less shine. So one of the things you want to avoid is butters and oils. If you get too many butters and oils on your hair, they will actually, and waxes are also in that category, they will actually block shine because they'll dull it. So you want to be really careful with shine products because a lot of them are oils, and you're going to put all this oil on your hair, and then over time it's going to make it look dull. Implementing some of what we've talked about in this video with making sure you have conditioners and gels in your hair is really going to help with shine, because you will help to seal the cuticle and help it have a little bit more reflective quality.
Fascinating. Okay, thanks, Jolie. That's a great answer. Okay, so we got hair care routines. Cecilia says, I believe I have type 2 hair. She has some A, some B, and a little C. I have struggled with frizz most of my adult life, especially in humidity, and she decided to try a version of the curly girl method. She ordered a bundle of products from one of the companies that creates hair products for all levels of curls, and she's been surprised, I assume pleasantly, at the waves and curls she has. However, the routine is a bit time-consuming on wash day, and she's struggling to make day 3 and day 4 look good. So the first question, is there a specific curly girl method for silvers that is easy to follow and only needs 1 or 2 products besides shampoo or conditioner?
Yes, mine.
Okay, good.
So this is a big point of contention for me. I think that less is more, and it really bugs me to see, let's put this on and put this on and put this on and a little bit of this and a little bit of that and a little bit of this, and before long you've got 18 products in your hair, and it's just too much. So I say play the 80% rule, which is that 80% of the time your shampoo and conditioner work for you. So you find a go-to shampoo and conditioner that are the best ones for your hair type. For me, it's the Scene shampoo and their deeper conditioner. These are my go-tos. That's what I grab almost every wash day, unless I'm trying out products for the channel or whatever. And then it's pick a leave-in or curl cream. I think curl creams are pretty touchy. You've got to be careful. You don't want to be using curl cream and have it elongate your curls or flatten your curls or weigh them down. So it's kind of, I don't use curl creams. I don't think they work for me. But a leave-in that has UV and heat protection in it will be eliminating a couple of steps there for you. If you use heat, you want the heat protection. If you don't use heat or you diffuse your curls, you don't need heat protection. And then making sure you have your basic gel that does the hold for you. And then from there, it's really about your application method, how you're applying your products. Again, we'll go back to, I think one of the best ways to do it is in shower with your hair wet. Plopping, learning how to plop your hair will help preserve the curl. And then how you dry your hair. So you want to make sure that your towel that you plop with is not terry cloth. That will create frizz. You want something that's either microfiber, or I prefer a cotton t-shirt style towel. And then when you dry your hair, I kind of do a 20-20-20 type thing. I do 20 minutes in my plop, 20 minutes of diffusing my hair, and then 20 minutes or whatever it takes to air dry my hair the rest of the way. And I think those are all really simple ways to condense the process down. I don't think you need many more products than that. You might want an oil like I just demonstrated for scrunching out the crunch. You don't even have to have an oil to scrunch out the crunch. You can use your leave-in. You can put a tiny bit of your leave-in in your hands with some water and you're done. So simplifying your daily routine like that makes traveling so much easier. The other thing about traveling is be prepared to wear your hair in up styles so that you can, not have to worry about the in between your wash days, and have a good time, have fun on your trip. I think that we spend way too much time thinking about that hair, and you could be having a really good time just being out on this vacation and having fun.
Oh yeah, you just answered question 2 too, so I don't need to go into that.
Oh, sorry, I didn't realize that you didn't read the question, but for the audience, she had a question about how to take that routine on vacation.
And I think that's a great question, because sometimes I pack my octo curl and all this stuff for my trips. I'm like, do I really want to be doing all this when I'm on my trip? Now I just wear a bun. I use a few products. The main thing is to have a good time on your trip.
Yeah, and I stand by it. If you only have 4 or 5 products, it doesn't take that much. I mean, for most people that do wash and go, you're only adding a couple of products right there. You have your shampoo and your conditioner, and then you have your leave-in and your gel.
Yeah, perfect.
You should be good to go.
And I'm jealous. She's going on a 14-day sea and land cruise to Alaska, so it sounds nice.
Have fun.
Alaska's gorgeous.
Before we move on to the next question, I want to make a note here about hair care routines and some really great people to follow. Atoya Base on Instagram has a very simple application method. She uses 3 products, and I highly recommend. She has a course. You can go do her course and learn how she does her application method. She has a challenge for you to downsize the amount of products you use, and it's really awesome. And then there's Swavy Curly Courtney on YouTube. She does simple routines with one product lineup. She's done that for years on her channel. So you can go through her channel and look at all the different product lineups that she's used. She calls them one brand wash days. And you can check out how she uses like 3 or 4 products from one brand to achieve her curls. And I think that she does a pretty good job also explaining application method.
One thing I've really enjoyed about being part of our community and also just the hair community in general is how many helpful women are out there helping other women with whatever hair issues they're having.
I am so grateful for those that have, because the journey that's brought me to this point, I couldn't have done it without the help of all these other women that have done all this for years and come before me.
You know, Lauren, our good friend who created the BTW company shampoo and conditioner that I use all the time. She was one of the few gray hair blogs I found when I first started. And then you and everybody else in the silver community, it's scary to do this stuff on your own. And so it's nice to have other women supporting you. That's what I love. So.
Yeah. And I'm glad that we're getting to do this because it's a coming together further in the community. So coming up on the next question, what do we have?
Okay, so the next topic is multiple curl patterns. And we have a few questions and I've been instructed to read all of them to you. So the first one is from Ray K. She says, my bottom layer is straight and my top layer has curls and waves. My hairdresser noticed it and is a bit perplexed. But Paula has waves and curls underneath and her hair is frizzy and straighter on the outside of her head. And all of her curls are underneath a straight top layer. So all these ladies, different layers of their hair have different curl patterns. So how do they make their hair look their best in this case?
Okay, so the first thing is we all have different patterns all over our head. One of the great things about all the people that we watch online, all of the influencers and other people that do this for a living and show us their hair care routines, is sometimes they have this beautiful head of curls and we compare ourselves to them. And that can be a little bit dangerous because you're seeing them on their best wash day, right? You're seeing me on a fresh wash day. You might not even recognize my hair if you see it tomorrow. And for me, my hair it's 2A, 2B, 2C, and sometimes 3B. I have it all, and I have it all over my head. And I have sections of my hair that are almost straight. My mom has always said that I needed 3 haircuts to get a haircut because I have to have a haircut while it's dry and curly. I have to have a haircut while it's straight. I have to have a haircut while it's wet because I have these pieces that are straight. I'll show you, that are almost bone straight.
Oh, wow.
And if I don't trim that, right, the ends will be real long down here because it's not rebounding with the rest of the curl. So one of the things you want to do is have your stylist help you trim it when it is in different states. So for instance, when I did see my stylist regularly, I cut my own hair, as I said before, and I still have to cut it in, different states. So you want to try having it cut so you get your even line when it's wet. Go through it once maybe you get home and it's in your best curl day, and find those long pieces and then just trim them up to your curls. Blend them in with your curls. So like until I pulled that out, you didn't know I had a straight piece of hair right there because it's well blended into the rest of my hair. But if I turn sideways, you can see all the different patterns. Wow. So I have a nice coil, and then underneath I get a completely different curl pattern underneath.
Yeah. Interesting.
So that is completely normal, and it's really just about how you cut your hair. And for me, this hair needs a little bit more moisture, so I focus on making sure that hair gets all the conditioner and all the leave-in so that it doesn't end up with a whole different texture because it didn't get what it needed on a wash day. So that's my best advice, is embrace it because it is what it is. That is how your hair is. You can take the straighter pieces and perm them if you want to. That's always an option, is to go in and find your straight pieces and have your stylist find a rod that matches your curl pattern and just perm those pieces. I would make sure you use a silver designed perm though that doesn't turn your hair yellow.
Yeah, that's fascinating. It never would have occurred to me to have a perm under there, but that makes sense.
Or you can, if you don't want to do the perm, you can always find a curling rod that's the right diameter and just curl that piece.
Right.
My straight pieces don't even want to take a curl with curling iron, so they just want to be straight.
I know everybody's the same way you said, but this one side of my hair curls much better than the other.
So your entire head has different patterns, different textures, different weight, different density. So it's everybody's head's like that. We are asymmetrical creatures. So if you know the whole theory about that the left side of your face is completely different than the right side of your face,
right?
All your hair is that way too.
Totally makes sense. Dagmar wrote a question about detox versus clarifying. As a silver curly, I'm seeing via influencers that I should be detoxifying my hair. What is this, and should I do it, or is this just another way for me to buy something? I do clarify and deep condition, but is a detox actually needed as well?
So I'm not really sure as far as what the influencers are doing right now. I don't pay a lot of attention to all of that because a lot of it is trendy and it, comes and goes. But a lot of the times when I hear about detoxing for curls, it's using vitamin C or Malibu C packets. And I highly recommend you do not use those on silver hair. The Malibu C products are marked to not be used on white or gray hair. The reason is because these have a chemical reaction to your hair and they will stain your hair from anything from pink to a dark caramel brown color. So I would avoid detoxing. I don't think of detoxing for the hair anyways. When I think of detoxing, I think about internal detoxing, where you're detoxing your digestive system or your liver or your kidneys, but certainly not your hair. I think clarifying is fine. And if you need a deeper clarifying, you can use something like clay or double wash. So just clarify your hair twice with shampoo, let it set the first time for a couple of minutes, and then do it again to break up anything that's on your hair. And then follow, of course, with deep conditioner. But detoxing the hair is just not, I don't think it's necessary.
There's always something that we're supposed to be doing.
Again, yeah, there's always some problem you're supposed to be chasing and fixing. And so I don't think detoxing the hair is one of them.
I didn't realize until this moment, because I haven't used a lot of Malibu products, but Malibu C is different than just the plain Malibu, right? Because I use the Malibu Undo Goo clarifying shampoo.
So they have a whole line of products, right? And they have these packets. The packets are available in the salon in a more concentrated formula, and you definitely want to avoid those because I've seen people come out with severely dried out hair that matted.
Oh, gosh.
And then the discolorations on top of that. So I completely say stay away from those products because they are not designed for unpigmented hair. I also don't recommend any of their other products except for the Undo Goo shampoo because it is really good for removing product buildup.
Yeah, I love it.
It's a good clarifying shampoo for especially curly girls that do use a few more products than most people do and to help you remove product buildup. I think that the problem with the vitamin C and the Malibu C products is that it's just something that they think is making it cleaner because of the way it feels on the hair. I don't know. I don't think that they are any better than clarifying shampoo.
Okay, that's good to know.
But the Malibu C products, I pretty much avoid everything except for the Undo Goo. So.
Okay, good. I love the Undo Goo. So I was like, please don't take away my Undo Goo.
No. I think I recommended it to you. So,
yeah, you did.
No.
Somebody did ask about how not to look like she was letting herself go if she has gray, curly, frizzy hair. But I think if she does some of the things we've talked about in this video so far, I think she'll be set.
So, mindset shift again, we have been told to keep it straight, keep it colored, and I think that it's not necessary. I don't think that you have to do those things to look put together.
Right. I agree.
And I don't feel like I ever look not put together when I just take care of my hair. So I think that when you have healthy hair and it's well taken care of, that's all that's necessary.
Totally agree. Well, this was really fun. We had a great time, and I'm so glad that everybody sent us their questions. I think we've had a great discussion, and we're going to be doing this again.
Yes, we are. And I appreciate being able to come on, and I am grateful that you trust me with your silver waves and curls. And I hope I've given some helpful and good advice today.
I think you definitely have. And I wanted to let everybody know we'll be putting these on both of our channels.
Yep.
And sometimes we'll both be here together talking. Sometimes it'll be Jolie with a guest. Sometimes it'll be me with a guest. And if you have any ideas for topics in the future, just put them in the comments and we'll look at them. I mean, I
Yeah.
think it's going to be fun.
If you do have any more questions about curly hair, please leave them in the comment section below, and I will be happy to try to answer them, at least on my channel. If they're on my channel, I get notified about it, and Katie will likely notify me if they're on her channel as well.
Oh, for
So
sure.
I guess that's it for this video.
Okay, thanks so much. And we'll see you all soon.
All right, and as you know, shine on.